Hello, everyone, and welcome to Townsquare Media Jersey Shore's third episode of our Ask the Mayor series, following Point Pleasant Beach Mayor Paul Kennis and Middletown Mayor Tony Perry. I am here today in Lacey Township with Mayor Stephen Kennis. Thank you for having me here today, Mayor.
Thank you for having this conversation.
Of course, and we're going to talk about some current events and things that have gone on in 2020 in Lacey and statewide, and get an idea about what could be coming up in Lacey in the months to come. So, you've quarterbacked Lacey through some challenging and uncharted waters this year because of the pandemic. How has Lacey fared through it all with the businesses, with the local economy, kind of how things have transformed since March in Lacey?
I would say reasonably well so far. A lot of our budgeting went better than expected. When the pandemic first hit, we assumed the worst. So we were very conservative in our budgeting this year. And fortunately, just the way the economy worked out, I guess people have been stuck at home, so they've been doing a lot of home projects. There's been a lot of the building department has been, as active as ever. The employees came back to work, I would say, a little bit earlier than a lot of other towns. Our administrator made the proper call to bring them back after Memorial Day, just to get people back to work and get things back to normal, and I think it really put us in a good position for the rest of the year.
Now, I know one of the more noted businesses was the Lakeside Diner in the Forked River with what was happening there, and the owner, Brian Bradisi, for months had been operating indoor and outdoor dining, and he had this whole setup indoors with the social distancing and everything. I think that one of the concerns coming from the state, at least, was the airflow kind of coming through, which was, I guess, why he was cited near almost 10, 12 times. But I think at one point you were asked to, the Lacey Township Police Department was asked to get involved, and then you were asked to get the DPW involved in helping board up that diner, and you said no, you declined. So what were those conversations like, and why did you say no, and basically in support of the Lakeside Diner?
Well, in general, we're very supportive of not only small business in particular, but all business in Lacey Township. And myself, our administrator, and other members of the Township Committee just think it's been grossly unfair to have some businesses closed, some open. It's been very hypocritical and contradictory in terms of what you're able to do and what you're not able to do. So we really didn't have a position on what should be open and shouldn't be. We feel that stuff should be open, but
right.
We do collectively, and I think most people would agree that the state shouldn't be getting involved into having public employees, board up businesses, for lack of a better word. And I think everybody should be concerned about that.
Do you think that it should have been handled and should be handled moving forward at a local level? I know I've heard it from Freeholder Vicari and the Freeholders in Ocean County, and even Tom Arnone, the Freeholder Director in Monmouth County, that making a plea to the governor and to the state, let the local municipalities, let the local governments make the decisions because we know our people better. Is that something that you would agree with, and trying to let you and your administration here in Lacey and then other towns in Ocean County kind of dictate or kind of decide what's going to happen based on the businesses and the amount of cases?
There's clear overreach from all levels of government right now, from the federal, not so much local, from federal to at the state level, about what people should be able to do and shouldn't be able to do. And this is, the pandemic is just one thing, but it's broad based. It's not just that. And so if I were president, I would have pushed it all off to the governors to let them make the call in their own states. But then if I was the governor, you have to, maybe push it down on the county level, or it should have been a little bit more local coordination, or they have more of a say in how things should continue with the pandemic, because again, it was very contradictory, and the people that are in these towns, I feel, they live there, they work there, they just know their area and the people in the town better than somebody that's sitting in Trenton.
As things are opening up and starting to get to a new normal / get back to normal, I guess however people want to kind of look at that, Is Lacey in a good spot moving forward through the rest of 2020 and heading into 2021 in terms of the local economy and recovering from the pandemic? Can you do well, or do you see some bumps in the budget or elsewhere heading into the new year?
You can never tell on the budget how things are going to go. It's, when we budget, it's really only year to year. It's very hard to put away a rainy day fund. So you don't know sort of until the end of the year how the budget is looking. As for the businesses, the small businesses are struggling clearly, but they're going forward. We've had quite a bit of new business applications at our planning board. So our on the building side and development side of Lacey, it's been pretty robust. There's been a lot of things in the pipeline from years past that have been approved at the planning board that are now starting to get to the point where I can apply for building permits. So quite a few projects actually. We just the other night we approved a Starbucks, Chipotle, and a Burger King. It's all fast food, but that's what everybody's doing right now. It's relatively low overhead, I guess. We have a number of townhouse developments in the pipeline, so there is quite a bit of commercial activity, I would say, in Lacey. So we seem fairly well set going forward, but you don't know.
Sometimes only the future dictates itself.
Yeah, sort of.
One of the other things the planning board was recently involved in last month was denying the application for additional nuclear fuel storage at the Oyster Creek power plant. And I know you have some thoughts on that. So how has the decommissioning of the power plant been going? Do you see things going at the proper pace? Are things being decommissioned and turned off in a safe manner?
Well, I think things are going reasonably okay. It would be a little bit, I guess, productive if we had just a little bit better communication with Holtec. They're the current owners of the power plant. Mm-hmm. We do get a lot of citizens and workers that ask us to investigate, right, or look further into different things that are occurring while the decommissioning is going on, and sometimes it's hard to get feedback as quickly as we'd like. We're doing our best to keep our eye on it to see, just to make sure that they are doing, as best they can and do everything as safely as they can.
Another point I wanted to get to as well, with what's going on in Lacey, is the marijuana legalization, which is Governor Murphy's been discussing since before he got into office, but something that I guess has a couple sides to it by residents, even across the state, Lacey, Ocean County, and across New Jersey, about whether it should or shouldn't be legalized, and then deciding exactly how to sell it, how to legalize it, what police and towns would have to do. And Lacey, of course, recently banned the retail sale of marijuana over what you were saying was land use and regulation. So what are the concerns you have with the referendum on the November ballot and the legalizing of any kind of recreational marijuana?
So in my opinion, that stuff is more of a land use issue and again, a regulation issue. And it's hard to and I'm not advocating either way. I don't really have a horse in a race, but there's I find I do feel it's somewhat of a slippery slope in terms of legalizing it. It should be decriminalized. That's my 2 cents. It really shouldn't be legalized. It should be decriminalized. But there isn't any money in decriminalization, so that's why they're not doing it. They're doing it to try and get tax dollars at the state. Locally, we don't get a big bite at the apple in terms of tax revenue from the sale of marijuana, whether we have it or not. And it's really sort of split down the middle of, people for it or against it.
Right.
So as far as as banning retail sales ahead of time, that was a recommendation from the planning board, because we allowed medicinal marijuana. Again, it was more of a land use issue, and it went hand to hand. That was the consensus at the planning board. They make the recommendation to the township committee, and then we can either choose to follow it or not follow it. In that case, we chose to follow it. They recommended to allow medicinal, but then not allow retail sales. And again, it's more of a land use issue. Well, it's two things. As far as the land use goes, you don't know where, you got to set up, the zoning. Where do you want to put it? And so that's a concern. That's always a concern. If you put it too close to one neighborhood or a church or a school, or you have to take those things into consideration. As far as the regulation side of it goes, until we know what the rules are, we really didn't want to be in a spot where if we didn't if we didn't like the rules that were coming out and we didn't ban it ahead of time, that we might be stuck with these rules no matter what. So this way, at least we have some control over, how, if it ever, if it gets legalized fully, there's always at some point in the future that it could, might be legalized here at some point again. We rescind the ordinance just, because the rules will make more sense. But it's more about that, just having some local control over, how and where, it's, where to put it.
Would you see that as a slippery slope if it is legalized in terms of trying to figure out where it would be allowed within the municipality, and so that it's not near a place where children would be near it or have access to it?
Yeah, of course, certainly. That's the biggest. That's the biggest con to legalize it, at least locally, is for kids and the police. The police are well opposed to it as well locally. So those go into consider. You got to take all that stuff into consideration. And in addition to that, though, I don't know. There's for me, it's a slippery slope. So what do you not legalize at that point?
Right.
At this point, the way New Jersey's going, we're so starved for tax dollars that we wind up legalizing every vice. So you might as well keep going and legalize the rest of the drugs and prostitution while you're at it. You might as well keep going for it all.
Do you find that it's difficult at the local level because of everything being taxed statewide on basically everything, roads, clothes, anything in sight, essentially? Does that make kind of what gets regulated and what gets put into a budget and how much you have to charge with local taxes because of what's the astronomically high taxes statewide? Does that make it difficult to kind of help your local economy here in Lacey?
Well, there's always a challenge on collecting taxes. You try to balance it as best you can with mandates from the state level, health insurance, employee contracts. It's very difficult to balance the budget, but it was found a lot of it comes from Trenton. It's they mandate stuff and it's you have to figure out a way to pay for it or and then it's not so much that they tell you to it's not like they're asking for more tax dollars exactly, but they put more burden on the on the local employees that they you have to clean out all the catch basins every so often, or it's new stormwater regulations. Like there's always a new regulation comes in where it's actually manpower doing it, which is tax dollars. It requires whether the police are asked to do more, whether not all this stuff like body cameras. Like there's as soon as any of this have to have somebody keep track of the recordings and log the recordings, and then somebody's requests. So a lot of that's a lot of it's just it's more time mandated than anything. But that's time is money, and it becomes expensive for a township.
We'll close up with this. I like to close up on Ask the Mayor with a lighter, positive note, kind of get your perspective for what's going on in the municipality. So what are some things, since you've been on the committee, since you've been mayor, some things that you've noticed about Lacey, and even prior to that? So what are some things that make Lacey such a great town and a great place to visit, a great place to be?
Well, I've been here a long time, almost my whole life. We have a great park system, and we have probably one of the best park systems in the county. We have our Gilly Park is very popular. It's right behind our municipal building, and we just recently redid Bayfront Park, which is at the end of Beach Boulevard. That actually won awards from the state, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a really nice park. But one of the long-term things we've been working on is a new municipal complex right next to Gilly Park, which would be knocking down this building and
where will you go?
rebuilding the police station and the municipal building on property next to our park. So we do have some big long-term plans. So hopefully I'll be around to see them.
So stay tuned, Lacey Township residents, Ocean County residents. Mayor, thanks for taking out some time to discuss some of the challenges going on in 2020 and certainly some of the good things that are happening in Lacey and that some of the good things that we can expect to see this year, next year, and in the future.
No, I appreciate the time. Thank you.
That's Lacey Township Mayor Stephen Kennis. I'm Vin Ebenau here for Townsquare Media. Make sure you download our Townsquare Media Jersey Shore family of apps, 92.7 WOBM, 94.3 The Point, 105.7 The Hawk, and Beach Radio 104.1 FM. Stay tuned to our social media channels for the announcement of our next episode of Ask the Mayor. Until next time, for Lacey Township Mayor Stephen Kennis, I'm Vin Ebenau. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.